occupation over the last week, but our next speaker has perhaps been building it over the last 30 years or more of tireless solidarity work with the Palestinian people, both in Britain and around the world. He has taken that message of justice, of struggle against imperialism, into the House of Commons, onto the airwaves of London, on the streets of Bethnal Green, to the corridors of the United States Senate. Please welcome George Galloway, MP.
Brothers and sisters, comrades and friends, wassalamu alaikum, peace be on all of you. In April and May of 1943, the Jews of the Warsaw Ghetto were surrounded by barbed wire fences by the occupiers of Poland, and they faced a choice. In the words of the song of the partisans, they could die on their knees or they could live forever. And they chose to rise up against their occupier, to use their bodies as weapons, to dig tunnels, to fight, not to die in ones and twos of hunger and typhus, but to die as free men and women. Today, the Palestinian people in Gaza are the new Warsaw Ghetto, and those who are murdering them are the equivalent of those who murdered the Jews in Warsaw in 1943. I'm going after this to the Israeli embassy, where I've been every day this week. But yesterday, I was at the embassy of Egypt, and I want to say that there are many governments responsible for this great crime in Palestine. But the dictatorship of Hosni Mubarak is jointly responsible for the murder of every Palestinian who's died these last 2 years. When he was embracing Livni as the bombs were falling, when he locked the border at Rafah, he became an international criminal and an outlaw of the Arab world. So I call, in conclusion, on the great people of Egypt, on the heroic armed forces of Egypt, on the heroic army of Egypt of 1973, to rise up and sweep away this tyrant Mubarak, to rise up and to demolish the border at Rafah and let the people go free. Wassalamu alaikum. Peace be on all of you.
The Stop the War Coalition is proud to be here, marching in solidarity with the Palestinian people, alongside Palestine Solidarity and the British Muslim Initiative. We have all marched together to demand, and we still demand, an end to the bloody occupation of Iraq and the full withdrawal of all the occupying troops. We have marched together to demand, and still demand, an end to the occupation and the bombing of Afghanistan. An end to all the disastrous policies which have caused such chaos and bloodshed across the world. And the Stop the War Coalition will be carrying on that struggle in solidarity with our Muslim brothers and sisters in the months and years ahead, if needs be. It's now a pleasure to introduce to you one of the founders of the Stop the War Coalition and an international vice president of the Cairo Conference. Please welcome John Rees.
Why is it that the tiny state of Israel can oppress the Palestinian people? It is because it has the support of the most powerful state in the world, the American state. It is the aircraft carrier for American imperialism in the Middle East. It is the biggest recipient of American military aid in the world. It is the biggest recipient of civilian aid from America in the world. It is the only country that can spend civilian aid on arms. It is the only country that can order directly from American arms manufacturers without having to go through the State Department of the United States. It is a second state within the state of America, and that is why it can attack the Palestinians with impunity. To break that power, to break its ability to discipline and to attack the Arabs in the Middle East, we have to back the Palestinians, but we also have to back the resistance of Arabs throughout the region. We have to say to the corrupt regime in Egypt, open the Rafah crossing, let the Palestinians be free, open the doors of the prison. We send our solidarity to the workers and peasants who have struck in Egypt, to the people who are rioting on the streets of Egypt, and we say there is only one route to a New Jerusalem, and it runs through Cairo. It runs through the destruction of the corrupt Arab rulers by the masses in the Middle East. And it is our job here to stand in solidarity with the Palestinians, to stand in solidarity with those throughout the Middle East who know that their destiny lies with the Palestinians. I will say one last thing. Freedom is indivisible. While the Palestinians are in chains, none of us are free. Their fight is our fight.
And he's been a fantastic supporter of the Palestinians. Alexei.
Thank you. I'll keep you long. I just think it's very important. I've always felt, as a Jew myself, that Israel purports to speak in our name, purports to somehow give us a home and provide us protection. And also, Israel always says that any criticism of Israel is anti-Semitism. Well, whatever else I am, I cannot be an anti-Semite. Criticism of Israel is criticism of Israel. It's a disgrace. I want to one day be proud of my country. Of that country. I want to be proud one day of my people. At the moment, I am ashamed. But if only Israel, if only Jewish people could turn away from violence, what an amazing thing that would be. And I hope that one day we will. If us with our history of oppression can't do it, who can? I just think I'm so ashamed at the moment. Israel does not act in my name. The only time it will act in my name is when it brings peace to the Middle East. Thank you.